Okay. So, John, how are you this evening, sir?
I am wonderful, my good friend.
So, last week we discussed tipping, and I went out and actually was inspired by your conversation and actually tipped somebody.
Now,
So,
did they do a good job for you?
yes, they did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
So,
don't get me wrong, tipping is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing if you tip poor service.
yes.
It's kind of like, if you have a kid and you reward them for getting a D on a paper, you know, that's bad because you're telling them it's all right to be subpar.
Well, okay, so big groups tonight.
Correct. It's the bane of almost any sit down restaurant. And let me explain it. In one aspect, it's good because you've got a lot of people that want to spend money in there. In
Yes.
another aspect, it's bad because you've got a lot of people that are going to be a pain in the butt and take up a huge area of your restaurant for a long time. And unless it's like a reservation style restaurant, lots of times they're honestly aren't worth it. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but I'd rather have like 14, 15, different families of like four come in there
Yeah.
than have a huge group of like 30 just sit there and take up the area because I'm going to make more money off the other groups.
See, I've never. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I've never looked at it that way.
Right, because if you have a group of like 30 sitting there, it's going to take forever for everybody to show up. It's going to take forever to get them sat because there's not that many places that have tables that go above the amount of 8.
Yes.
So if you know a place doesn't have any tables above the amount of 8, why would you go in on a Friday evening at like 6:30 telling them you've got a group of 25? It's like it's going to take forever to get that set up. That's what I mean. Lots of times it's realistic expectations of the whole thing. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're about to
No,
get
no,
into
no,
something.
no. I have never thought about it this way. This is.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, in the time that they sit there, I could sit there and probably as a restaurateur, I could have, those tables set multiple times in the exact same time that that one group sits there. So if they spend like $250 or something, which is good, but they've tied up that area for a period of time where I probably could have made about $450 to $500 off
Yeah.
of it. It's
So,
like
so besides the big group aspect, now are buses and stuff considered in this
it
genre?
depends.
Like
They're
if you're
wanting to
working at
all
an
sit as one
Applebee's
group,
and they
yes.
show up.
But if it's a bunch of individuals, no, it's not that bad. You're going to have the same aspect to a point, but that's not as a bad thing because, like, say, you're on a bus trip with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Four of you sit over here, four of you sit over here, six over here, three over here, kind of a thing. The only thing it'll do is it'll kind of hit the kitchen or your back part of the restaurant a little bit, but you can also control how quickly stuff goes in. It's like if you're sitting with a group of three there and you guys know exactly what you want, you're like boom boom boom, I've got that order going in the restaurant already, instead of sending 35 40 people back at once,
Yeah.
because what that does, it just drags everything down. Big groups, there's different things and aspects of it. It takes forever to ring them in,
Yes.
so that's a timing. It's going to take forever to like just get drinks out there. That's a time eater.
Yes. Yes.
Then you've got the exact same like 15 people asking the exact same question because nobody listens when you're doing it. It's like when person
Nobody
number two
listens.
asks, "Well, what salad dressings do you have?" It's like, well, first off, it's on the menu. Second off, I've mentioned that I mentioned that 4 times in a row now. If you would like to please pay attention.
That's awesome.
So it takes forever for them to order because you've got people thinking that ordering off a menu is like trying to figure out your 401k. It's not that tough. It's like if you have to have everything put over on the side or something like that, you're making it more of a pain, especially putting the order in. If you don't like the stuff, just tell them to leave it off. It doesn't have to be on the side. And that's more of a, this is going to sound extremely, extremely sexist, but it's true if anybody's ever worked in a restaurant. Women are the biggest pain in the asses to wait on sometimes, but they can be some of the best people to come in because lots of times women are more understanding about things.
Okay.
Okay, so now
explain
you
that to me.
What now?
Explain that to me about women are more understanding.
Okay, it's more in the family nurture kind of thing. It's like,
yeah,
who do you think's more understanding in the family? Lots of times, mom or dad.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. It's more. It's like if you're in a legal battle, someplace and you go to trial for some reason, I would want a female, as many of them as I can, on that jury, because the female will actually listen, and they're a little bit more understanding on things. Men are more concrete in how they think lots of times. It's kind of like, oh, there's this one way and that's it, Where, a female might be a little bit more, okay, there's one way, but if you can think of something better and it makes sense, then yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay.
Psychology to a point. Okay, so now you've had to take forever to get the order.
Okay? Yes.
Then you've got to put it in. Then the kitchen has to make it. So the kitchen gets this big, huge order in, and it takes forever for it to get out. So, Bob and Mildred over there are having to wait forever for their food because you had to come in with 30 people on one of the busiest nights of the week.
Yes.
It's like I say, it sounds nitpicky, but it's not. It's actually big groups when they come in, they're a money loser.
Really?
Lots of times they don't tip that well because I'm not going to say everywhere, but at least here where we're from, in the state of Kansas, you can't automatically add gratuity to a check. It's
really?
You got to either ask them if it's all right, or it's got to be a very stated policy right there to let them so they know that. But you can't automatically add the gratuity to a check anymore. That's illegal in the state of Kansas.
Wow. See, I've been places where and obviously it's been out of state, but where they've done that. So I am shocked that big groups are money losers as far as making money in restaurants.
Well, it's like you've got to realize half of them are going to be grandma and grandpa who are going to spend a lot. A third of them will be grandma and grandpa there.
Yeah.
They're not going to spend a lot. A third of them are going to be children. You're not going to spend a lot on them. So you're actually losing money because I could bring in 4 adults and one of the tables there in like 3 table turns, which means you have somebody come in, they get sat down, they get their order taken, they eat, they pay, they get up. The next one comes in, that's a table turn. Okay, I could table turn that table 3 times, so there'd be 3 different groups. So just off one of the tables that I have to use on it, I could have made the exact same amount of money.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not saying every place is. It's like, you go to a Pizza Hut, nobody cares there. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because they're not meant to be, they're meant for that, like grandma, grandpa, all the kids go in there. It's not as much of a huge thing, but when you have an individual restaurant where it's all individual people ordering instead of like, hey, we're going to get 4 large pizzas and this, and, we're going to get Dr. Pepper for everybody instead of like, well, what kind of white wine do you have? You have to go through 14 different things, with the 14, 15 different people. The biggest thing is people just don't have realistic expectations when they're in a big group. It's like they come in and they go, it's 6:30 on a Friday night at an extremely busy place. And they're like, yeah, we've got 20 people. How long is the wait going to be? Well, you're probably looking about an hour and a half to close to 2 hours. Well, well, why so long? It's like, well, not a buffet. I go, there's multiple tables in here that are just open,
I'm
man.
not a buffet.
And she's like, well, and I go, do you see a table here that seats, 15 to 20 people? She's like, well, no. And I go, okay, we're going to have to wait for tables to get up and finish to do that. And I go, I got 16 different other groups ahead of you before that. So after I get those 16 set, that's when we're going to start looking for your table. So we got to wait for all those other groups to get up, so we'll have room for your group.
Yeah.
Like, people come in expecting, filet mignon, results on a, cat food budget.
That's awesome. So, so what other points do you have on this?
The realistic expectations of it, and then the realistic expectations of how quick stuff comes out. It's like, when you've got a huge group, it's going to take forever for it to get to the table.
Yeah.
You gotta realize that. Then, this is more specifically with like lunch times and different times.
Yeah.
You have a big group come in during lunch. Usually, honestly, not nearly as bad as during the dinner rush because, you've got mostly adults on that. So it goes a little bit faster. You don't have somebody going like, now, Bobby, do you want the macaroni and cheese or do you want this? It's like, you're the parents. You know what the kid likes. Order for them. But you have a bunch of business people in there. And they're usually very quick, about like, bam, bam, we know this. We want this. But where you have the hold up with them is when it comes time to pay out. As you get a group of 10 in there, you've got to sit there and process 10 different payments. So now imagine you're at Quick Shop or someplace like that, and you got 10 of you in a row.
Yeah.
You're the last person out of the 10. You think it's going to take a few moments for it to get taken care of?
Well, yeah.
Because they've got to stop, they've got to run their car, they've got to get change for the amount that you put out there. It's like kind of like the douchebag that comes in, has a $9.99 meal and gives you $100 bill. It's like, why do you have $100 bill anyway? It's like, but that's one of the bigger things at the end of it. That's like a lunch one. And if you're in a hurry, because a lot of those times, during lunch, they're on a time constraint.
Yes.
So if it takes 20 minutes to process everybody, that means you had 10 minutes to get there, 10 minutes to get back, per se. So now you've got 20 minutes to order, get your food, and eat. And I don't know anybody that sits there wants to have to snarf down stuff that fast. So that's the reason lots of times with big tables, they have unrealistic expectations.
Okay.
It's, like I'm saying, it's not a bad thing per se. It's just I want people to understand from the point of view of the establishment.
Yeah.
And my point of view isn't the same for every establishment out there. There's lots of places that love huge tables, and that's great because they've probably got a science down to it, and they probably have regular groups that come in huge groups and stuff. So that's all they've ever done. If you're in a small town or something, you get a huge group, holy moly, you love that. You're in a major metro area, not so much. It's like, say, you go to Podunk, whatever. They've got like
Podunk,
they got
whatever.
the Pizza Hut, and they've got Merle's Diner down the road.
Okay. Hoisington, Kansas.
They lost their Sonic, remember?
Yes.
But,
and Lunatic Lenny was very upset over that.
I know he was just
crushed.
But Merle's Diner is going to be freaking enthusiastic that they have that many people come in because that's a huge boon to them.
Yes.
But you go to, like, say, a bigger metro area, and you go to La whatever, they want to be full and they want to have guests in there, but they don't necessarily want that big, huge group in there because that impedes their ability to make more money.
Yes.
It's like if I could sell 4 cars to somebody in the space of an hour, would I rather do that, or would I rather have a family of 9 in there trying to buy 1 car and taking up all the time?
Well, there is that.
Like I say, I'm not perfect, and that's not the motif of everybody, but I'm just kind of giving you my perspective and my thought process on it.
Well, you did say, and maybe you covered this and I missed it, but you said expectations of what the customer thinks and what the expectations of what the restaurant.
Right. It's like I say, they've got expectations on time. The bigger the group, the longer it's going to take for everything. So if you have impatient children, you probably shouldn't go in a huge group. If you have people that have to eat quickly because A, they're like A, diabetic, B, they have to take something with medicine, or certain little restrictions like that, you probably don't want to go in a big group because it's going to take a while for it to get out there.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of little things that can throw into it, but overall, people are great, but it's the realistic expectations. It's like you have a group of 20 or something, it's going to take forever to order. It's going to take forever to get it put in. It's going to take forever to get your drinks out there. It's going to take forever for the food to get out there. Then it's going to take a while to sit there and process the payments. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And like I say, it's not the same everywhere, but do you see where I'm coming from a little
Yes. Bit? Yes, very much so.
I try to put it out there in layman's terms because that's how I understand this. I'm not a super smart dude like you, so.
I don't know about that. I don't know who you've been talking to, but
I've been talking to you, Jiggy. Come on.
But as we wrap up here on this, give me your final thoughts on this whole thing.
Final thoughts. Big groups, you've got to expect to sit there and wait. That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen quick. Once in a while, yes, maybe it will. And it also depends on where you're going. If you go to where everybody orders individually, it's going to take a lot longer than if you go to a place that's A, like a buffet, or B, like a pizza place or something like that. You can go quicker there. Because, I can sit there in a pizza place, you can sit there and throw in enough food for a group of 20 or 30 and have it out in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not that tough. You don't have to read down and go, okay, they want this medium rare, they want this, that. We need to have that left off. It's a much simpler process. So a lot of it's going to depend on where you're going, what style the restaurant is, and what you're actually looking for in your expectations.
Fantastic. Well, this has once again been very educational. I have learned a heck of a lot. And
glad I can teach somebody. Well, great sensei you are.
Well, thanks for doing this, sir, and I will, I guess, talk to you next week.
Sweet.
Thank you, brother. There he goes. And that's that. That wraps it up here.